The Catholic Church stands as one of the most enduring and impactful institutions in history, woven together by centuries of tradition, profound spiritual wisdom, and unmatched diversity. At the heart of this great church are its religious orders, men and women who have answered God's call to serve Him and His people through vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience. Each order reflects a unique purpose, a sacred mission inspired by Christ Himself. Some orders are devoted to a life of prayer and quiet reflection, while others roll up their sleeves to serve the world through education, missionary outreach, and the fight for justice. We'll explore the courageous simplicity of the Franciscans, the scholarly brilliance of the Dominicans, the missionary fire of the Jesuits, and the contemplative strength of the Carmelites. And we won't stop there. We'll also delve into the tireless work of the Salesians, the disciplined devotion of the Trappists, and the foundational influence of the Benedictines. Stay with us as we uncover the incredible contributions of these orders and the ways they continue to bring light into a world in need of hope. If this message speaks to your heart, make sure you subscribe and click that notification bell so you never miss a moment. Now let's begin this inspiring journey. The Carmelite order stands as one of the most honored and ancient contemplative communities in the Catholic Church. Its origins date back to the 12th century, rooted on the sacred grounds of Mount Carmel in the Holy Land. Inspired by the prophet Elijah, these early hermits sought a life of solitude and profound devotion to God, echoing Elijah's unwavering faith. Central to their spirituality is the Blessed Virgin Mary, lovingly revered as Our Lady of Mount Carmel, their spiritual mother and protector. At the heart of Carmelite life is a deep focus on prayer and communion with God. For them, prayer isn't just a discipline, it's a way of life. Through silence and solitude, they strive for intimacy with the divine, aiming for a union with God that transforms their very being. Living in simplicity and detachment, Carmelites often dwell in cloistered communities where every moment is dedicated to this holy pursuit. While their lives may seem hidden, their influence on Catholic spirituality is immeasurable. Saints like Teresa of Avila and John of the Cross have illuminated the path for countless souls. Saint Teresa, a mystic and reformer, wrote timeless works like The Interior Castle, guiding believers toward a deeper relationship with God. Her close collaborator, Saint John of the Cross, delved into the trials of faith with writings like The Dark Night of the Soul, offering hope to those enduring spiritual hardships. Another cherished Carmelite saint is Saint Thérèse of Lisieux, the Little Flower, whose simple approach to holiness, finding God in small, everyday acts of love, has touched hearts worldwide. Her little way continues to inspire believers to this day. Even now, Carmelites serve as a beacon of hope and faith in a noisy, chaotic world. Whether through prayer, retreats, or spiritual guidance, their message of simplicity, silence, and devotion to God resonates as strongly as ever. As St. John of the Cross reminds us, in the evening of life, we will be judged on love alone. The Carmelites remain a testament to this truth, offering a timeless example of God-centered living. The Benedictines, one of the most enduring monastic communities in the Catholic Church, trace their origins to the 6th century. Founded by Saint Benedict of Nursia, often called the father of Western monasticism, this remarkable order has stood the test of time. Saint Benedict's transformative work, The Rule of Saint Benedict, laid the groundwork for monastic life in the West. This timeless guide combines spiritual wisdom with practical instruction, making it as adaptable today as it was centuries ago. At the core of the Benedictine way is a life of prayer, work, and study, carried out in a communal setting. The rule emphasizes stability, encouraging monks to remain committed to their community for life, and calls for obedience both to their abbot and ultimately to God. Humility stands as a cornerstone of their daily life, a reminder of their dependence on God's grace, and their guiding principle, ora et labora, to pray and work, beautifully integrates spiritual devotion with practical labor. Throughout history, the Benedictines have not only shaped the spiritual landscape but also safeguarded Western civilization. During the turmoil of the Middle Ages, Benedictine monks were instrumental in preserving ancient manuscripts, religious and secular alike. Their monasteries became sanctuaries of knowledge, housing scriptoria, where timeless wisdom was carefully copied and protected. From these humble beginnings emerged the seeds of Europe's great universities rooted in the educational systems first established by the Benedictines. But the contributions of these faithful servants extend far beyond books and learning. Benedictine monasteries became models of self-sufficiency, excelling in farming, brewing, and craftsmanship. They pioneered sustainable agricultural practices and introduced techniques that boosted local economies. And through their legendary hospitality, they offered food, shelter, and spiritual solace to countless pilgrims and travelers. The impact of the Benedictines is not limited to history. Today, their monasteries around the globe, from the United States to Africa, Europe to Asia, continue to serve as beacons of peace, hospitality, and learning. Their emphasis on simplicity, silence, and balance resonates deeply in our fast-paced world, offering a spiritual refuge for those seeking renewal. Saint Benedict's legacy, enshrined in his rule, remains a guiding light for monks, nuns, and laypeople alike. Its teachings on discipline, humility, and harmony offer timeless wisdom for a world often consumed by distractions and extremes. Whether in prayer, education, or service, the Benedictines embody their motto, Ora et Labora, living lives that are both profound and deeply inspiring. The Augustinians, formerly known as the Order of St. Augustine, were officially established in the 13th century, yet their spiritual roots reach back to the profound teachings and writings of St. Augustine of Hippo. One of the most influential early church fathers, Augustine left an indelible mark on Christian theology through his reflections on the nature of God, the human soul, grace, free will, and the path to holiness. His legacy forms the foundation of the Augustinian order, which strives to embody and advance these spiritual and theological insights in both practical ministry and contemplative life. At the core of Augustinian spirituality lies the transformative power of inner conversion. Augustine himself famously described his spiritual journey as a relentless pursuit of God, culminating in his heartfelt confession, "You have made us for yourself, O Lord, and our hearts are restless until they rest in you." This restless longing for union with God is central to the Augustinian way of life, encouraging individuals to seek God within themselves and their communities. It is this inner transformation, beginning in the heart, that defines the Augustinian approach to a deeper relationship with the divine. Community life is another hallmark of the Augustinian order. Far from being merely a practical arrangement, the Augustinians view communal living as a reflection of the early Christian communities described in the Acts of the Apostles. St. Augustine emphasized unity and mutual love within the community, envisioning a shared life where all members grow in holiness together. His phrase, una anima et cor in Deum, one mind and heart on the way to God, perfectly encapsulates this vision. Through shared resources, prayer, study, and ministry, the Augustinians aim to create a living testament to God's love in action. The intellectual dimension of the Augustinian order is equally significant. Augustine's life was characterized by an intense search for truth, and his extensive writings, spanning topics such as the relationship between faith and reason, the role of grace in salvation, and the complexities of the human will, continue to shape Christian thought. In this spirit, the Augustinians have long been committed to education and theological scholarship. They operate schools, universities, and theological institutes worldwide, fostering engagement with both the intellectual and spiritual traditions of the Church. For the Augustinians, intellectual inquiry is not pursued for its own sake but as a means to deepen understanding and effectively communicate the truths of faith. They believe that reason, guided by faith, illuminates the mysteries of God and creation. This openness to new ideas, coupled with a dedication to theological exploration, has enabled the order to contribute profoundly to the Church's understanding of grace, human nature, and the divine. In addition to their academic endeavors, the Augustinians are deeply engaged in parish ministry and social outreach. Inspired by Augustine's teachings on love and charity, the order focuses on meeting the needs of the poor and marginalized. Whether through running parishes, offering social services, or participating in missionary work, the Augustinians bring the Gospel's message of justice, love, and compassion to life in tangible ways. Their mission reflects Augustine's pastoral heart, and his conviction that the love of God and love of neighbor are inseparably linked. The Augustinians are also deeply committed to promoting social justice. Rooted in Augustine's belief that human beings are naturally social creatures called to live harmoniously, the order seeks to build up the human family through works of peace, reconciliation, and justice. Augustine understood sin as a force that fractures relationships and communities, while grace works to heal and restore them. This vision drives the Augustinians to address social inequalities and foster unity in a divided world. Today, the Augustinians remain an influential force within the Church, dedicated to fostering both spiritual and intellectual growth. Their enduring commitment to truth, love, and the pursuit of God within community life reflects the timeless wisdom of St. Augustine's teachings. Through their work in schools, parishes, and various ministries, they inspire individuals to seek God with their whole heart and live out the gospel in profound and practical ways. In a world often marked by division and restlessness, the Augustinians continue to offer a path toward unity, peace, and a deeper relationship with the Creator. The Dominicans, known officially as the Order of Preachers or Ordo Predicatorum, were founded in 1216 by the remarkable Saint Dominic.
In a time when the Church faced the rise of dangerous heresies like Albigensianism, teachings that denied core truths of the faith, such as the goodness of creation and the incarnation of Christ, Saint Dominic stepped forward with a vision inspired by the Holy Spirit. He believed the only way to combat falsehood was through the light of truth, proclaimed boldly by men and women equipped with sound theology and deep spiritual conviction.
The mission of the Dominicans is rooted in proclaiming the gospel truth. Education, theological study, and preaching are the lifeblood of their order.
Saint Dominic, understanding the need for a church prepared to address the intellectual and spiritual challenges of his time, called his followers to rigorous academic study. Theology, philosophy, and scripture were not just disciplines. They were tools to bring souls to Christ. This commitment to learning was never for the sake of pride, but always with the goal of sharing God's eternal truth.
Perhaps no figure exemplifies the Dominican pursuit of truth better than St. Thomas Aquinas, one of the greatest minds the Church has ever known. A Dominican friar, Aquinas blended faith and reason in a way that continues to shape Catholic theology to this day. His monumental work, the Summa Theologica, remains a cornerstone of Christian thought, studied in seminaries and universities across the world.
Aquinas' ability to integrate Aristotelian philosophy with the truths of revelation brought clarity to some of the most profound questions about God, humanity, and the nature of salvation. But the legacy of the Dominicans does not rest solely on St. Thomas Aquinas. Consider St. Catherine of Siena, a towering spiritual figure who courageously worked to bring the papacy back to Rome during one of the Church's most challenging times. Or Meister Eckhart, whose mystical theology has inspired believers for generations. These individuals represent the diversity and depth of Dominican contributions to the faith.
At the heart of the Dominicans' mission is their motto, Veritas, truth. This devotion to truth is not limited to theology but extends into every sphere of knowledge. Whether engaging with science, culture, or the pressing social issues of the day, the Dominicans seek to bring God's light into a world often clouded by confusion. Their efforts are a testament to the enduring relevance of the gospel in every age.
Throughout their history, Dominicans have served as professors, theologians, and writers, bringing intellectual excellence to their pastoral work. They have founded universities and schools around the globe, providing not only theological education, but also engaging in dialogue with scholars of other disciplines and faiths. Their academic contributions are always paired with a pastoral heart, fulfilling St. Dominic's vision of blending intellectual rigor with a life devoted to service.
Yet their mission doesn't end in the classroom or the pulpit. The Dominicans are committed to missionary work, taking the gospel to places where Catholicism is less understood or unknown. They work tirelessly for social justice and human dignity, ensuring that the truth they proclaim is lived out in acts of love and compassion. Their communal life, rooted in the vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience, fosters a strong sense of fraternity and shared purpose, reminding them of their ultimate aim, to bring souls to Christ.
In today's world, the Dominicans remain a powerful force for truth and faith. They continue to influence theology, philosophy, education, and preaching, never wavering in their mission to proclaim the gospel. As the Church faces new challenges in an increasingly complex and skeptical world, the Dominican order stands firm, offering an approach to faith that balances reason and spirituality. Their legacy reminds us all that the truth of Christ is not only eternal, but transformative, capable of changing hearts, minds, and the very fabric of society.
Have you ever wondered what it takes to blend faith, intellect, and action seamlessly? The Jesuits, founded in 1540 by St. Ignatius of Loyola, emerged during the Counter-Reformation as a powerful answer to this question, standing at the crossroads of spiritual renewal and intellectual excellence. They are distinguished by their rigorous intellectual training, deep spirituality, and flexibility in mission. One of the greatest contributions of the Jesuits is in education. From their earliest days, they established schools, universities, and seminaries renowned for academic rigor and moral formation. These institutions sought to create individuals who were not only intellectually capable, but also morally upright, men and women for others, as they say. Jesuit education is about more than knowledge. It is about character, service, and a commitment to justice. Prestigious institutions like Georgetown University and Boston College are just a few examples of their lasting legacy in this field. Central to Jesuit spirituality is discernment, a practice rooted in St. Ignatius's spiritual exercises. This is not just about making decisions, it's about aligning every aspect of life with God's will. Jesuits emphasize finding God in all things, seeing his presence not just in churches but in people, cultures, and the events of history. Their faith is profoundly incarnational, recognizing that God is active in the world and calling believers to respond with purpose and action. Missionary work has always been at the heart of the Jesuits' identity. During the Age of Exploration, they ventured into Asia, Africa, and the Americas, becoming pioneers in cultural engagement. They didn't simply preach the gospel, they learned languages, immersed themselves in local traditions, and sought to build bridges of understanding. Figures like St. Francis Xavier, who evangelized Asia, and Matteo Ricci, who brought Christianity to China, exemplify this approach. In South America, Jesuits established reducciones, settlements where indigenous people could live in dignity, protected from exploitation, while embracing the faith. The Jesuits have also made remarkable contributions in science, philosophy, and diplomacy. In the 17th and 18th centuries, Jesuit scientists led breakthroughs in astronomy, physics, and geography, demonstrating that faith and reason are not in conflict, but work together to reveal God's truth. Their commitment to intellectual rigor has positioned them as leaders in engaging the natural sciences, fostering dialogue between faith and modern discoveries. Advocating for human rights and social justice has been another cornerstone of Jesuit mission. Wherever there is poverty, oppression, or inequality, you'll find Jesuits working tirelessly to bring hope and dignity to the marginalized. From serving the poor to championing global human rights, their work reflects their motto Ad Majorem Dei Gloriam, for the greater glory of God. Yet, their journey hasn't been without challenges. The Jesuits' influence in global affairs made them both powerful allies and formidable opponents. This led to their suppression in 1773 by Pope Clement XIV, a dark chapter that lasted until their restoration in 1814. Through it all, the Jesuits endured, emerging stronger and more determined to serve. Today, the Jesuits remain a dynamic force within the Church. They continue to adapt their mission to meet modern challenges, whether addressing secularism, climate change, global poverty, or the plight of migrants. Their ability to blend intellectual excellence with spiritual depth and to meet people where they are ensures that their work remains as relevant and impactful as ever. The Society of Jesus is not just an order, it's a mission. The Jesuits embody a faith that seeks God in every corner of the world, committed to transforming lives and glorifying God in all that they do. Their legacy is a reminder that the gospel is alive, vibrant, and ready to meet the needs of every age. What does it truly mean to live the gospel in its purest form? For the Franciscans, founded by St. Francis of Assisi in the 13th century, it means embracing radical poverty, simplicity, and an unshakable unity with all of God's creation, a way of life that has transformed the Church and the world for centuries. St. Francis of Assisi, born into a life of wealth and privilege, turned his back on the comforts of this world after a profound spiritual awakening. Renouncing his possessions, he chose instead to follow Christ in radical poverty, simplicity, and humility. This powerful act of faith gave birth to the Franciscan order, a movement that has touched countless lives and remains one of the most transformative forces in the Catholic Church. St. Francis's joyful and selfless example of service to others and his reverence for all of creation continues to inspire people from all walks of life. At the heart of Franciscan spirituality is a commitment to living out the gospel in word and deed. It's not just about helping the poor, it's about becoming one with them, meeting both their material and spiritual needs. Franciscans see the face of Christ in the sick, the marginalized, and the forgotten, dedicating their lives to acts of charity, kindness, and advocacy for justice. Whether it's caring for lepers in medieval Europe, establishing hospitals, or providing education to the impoverished, the Franciscans have been a constant force for good throughout history. St. Francis's profound love for creation is another hallmark of this order. His famous Canticle of the Creatures, a hymn praising God for the sun, moon, water, and all living things, reflects his deep belief that every part of creation is a gift from God. This reverence for the natural world has taken on even greater significance today, as Franciscans lead efforts in environmental conservation and sustainability. They see caring for the earth as an extension of their mission to honor the dignity of all creation. The Franciscan order is made up of several branches, each serving a unique role within the Church. The Friars Minor, the original branch founded by St. Francis, devoted to preaching, serving the poor, and living in poverty. The Poor Clares, a contemplative order of women founded by St. Clare, St. Francis's spiritual companion, who embraced a life of prayer and simplicity. The Secular Franciscan Order, a lay community that allows everyday people to live out Franciscan principles in their daily lives. United under the rule of St. Francis, all branches emphasize detachment from material wealth, a commitment to peace, and absolute trust in God's providence. Today, Franciscans are present in both bustling urban centers and the most remote corners of the world, offering practical aid and spiritual guidance wherever there is need. They are actively engaged in poverty alleviation, human rights advocacy, and efforts to build peace in areas of conflict. But it's not just their activism that defines them, it's their spirit. Franciscans approach life with a contagious joy, a gratitude for the beauty of creation, and a deep sense of fraternity with all people. This joy, coupled with humility and compassion, draws people to their way of life. Even those outside the Catholic faith find inspiration in the Franciscan emphasis on kindness, simplicity, and care for the earth. The legacy of St. Francis is one of radical love, for God, for neighbor, and for creation. His example challenges societal norms, calling us to let go of the distractions of wealth and ambition, and to live lives of true service and connection. The Franciscans continue to be a beacon of hope and a model of Christian discipleship in a world that often seems overwhelmed by division and despair. Through their work and witness, they remind us all of what it means to follow Christ with our whole heart and to see his reflection in everything around us. What would it take to strip away all the distractions of the modern world and focus entirely on God? For the Trappists, one of the most ascetic and contemplative monastic orders in the Catholic Church, the answer lies in a life of simplicity, silence, and prayer. Emerging from a reform movement within the Cistercian order in 17th century France, the Trappists were born out of a desire to return to the purest expression of the rule of Saint Benedict. Under the leadership of Abbot Armand Jean Le Boutillier de Reims at the Abbey of La Trappe, they embraced a life of humility, penitence, and radical detachment from worldly distractions. The Trappists live by a defining practice, custodia oris, guarding the mouth. This intentional use of silence is not just an exercise in restraint, it's a sacred act of creating space for God. Words are used sparingly, and only when absolutely necessary, fostering a deep spirit of mindfulness and contemplation. In this quiet, they hear the voice of God more clearly, focusing their hearts and minds entirely on his presence. But their silence is not idleness. Guided by the Benedictine motto, ora et labora, pray and work, Trappist monks and nuns fill their days with manual labor, transforming ordinary tasks into acts of worship. Their monasteries are hubs of industry and self-sufficiency, producing goods like cheese, bread, honey, and the world-famous Trappist beer. These products are not only a source of financial support but also an extension of their spiritual lives, crafted with care and dedication that mirrors their devotion to God. The rhythm of a Trappist's day revolves around the Liturgy of the Hours, a cycle of prayer that begins before dawn and continues into the evening. Through the chanting of psalms and scripture readings, their worship is stripped of unnecessary adornments, reflecting a profound desire for simplicity and communion with God. Every moment of their day is ordered toward him, creating a seamless blend of prayer, work, and contemplation. Trappists live a life of voluntary poverty, sharing everything in common and owning nothing personally. This detachment from material possessions is a reflection of their deeper spiritual detachment, as they surrender not only their belongings but also their anxieties and desires to God's providence. In their poverty they find richness, in their simplicity they find profound peace. While their life of strict discipline may seem austere, the Trappists experience a deep joy that comes from their closeness to God. Their monasteries, often nestled in quiet, remote locations, serve as sanctuaries for those seeking spiritual refuge. Clergy and lay people alike are drawn to these places, finding renewal in the stillness and the example of lives lived entirely for God. Today, Trappist monasteries can be found across the globe, continuing to shine as beacons of prayer, work, and hospitality. In a world consumed by noise and distraction, the Trappists remind us of the beauty and value of a life centered on God. Their radical simplicity, humility, and devotion serve as a powerful witness to the enduring call to holiness, inviting all of us to step back, quiet our hearts, and seek the presence of God in our lives. How do you transform a generation of neglected and impoverished youth into confident, morally grounded adults? For St. John Bosco, the answer was clear. You give them love, education, and a reason to believe in themselves. In the 19th century, during a time of rapid industrialization and social upheaval, St. John Bosco saw the devastating effects of poverty and neglect on young people. Moved by their plight, he founded the Salesians of Don Bosco, officially known as the Society of St. Francis de Sales, to meet both their physical and spiritual needs. St. John Bosco's mission was revolutionary. He didn't just want to teach children academic lessons, he wanted to shape their entire character. His preventive system of education rested on three key principles: reason, guiding youth with logic and discipline rather than harsh punishment; religion, instilling faith as the foundation of a strong moral compass; and kindness, creating an atmosphere of love and trust where young people could thrive. His famous words, "It is not enough to love the young, they must know that they are loved," remain the guiding light of the Salesian mission. The Salesians carry this vision forward today through an extraordinary network of schools, vocational training centers, orphanages, and youth programs. Their work spans the globe, focusing on young people who are most at risk: the poor, the neglected, and the marginalized. Salesian institutions are known for blending academic education with hands-on skills like carpentry, mechanics, electronics, agriculture, and computer science. These practical tools empower students to secure meaningful employment and break free from the cycle of poverty. At the same time, spiritual guidance helps them grow into compassionate, responsible adults. But the Salesian mission extends beyond education. In over 130 countries, Salesians are on the front lines of missionary work, bringing hope to some of the world's most desperate situations. Their programs include outreach to street children, providing food, shelter, and education to those living on the margins; orphanages and youth homes, offering a loving and safe environment for children who have no family; refugee support and humanitarian aid, helping displaced populations with material assistance and spiritual care. The heart of the Salesian approach is a spirit of optimism and love. St. John Bosco believed in seeing the potential in every young person no matter their circumstances. His legacy continues to inspire the Salesians as they work tirelessly to give the next generation not only a better future, but also a deep sense of their God-given worth. Through their schools, missions, and outreach programs, the Salesians remind us that the greatest gift we can give the young is not just opportunity, but love. They embody the hope and promise of the gospel, showing that even in the darkest situations, a bright future is possible with faith, compassion, and a helping hand. Their work stands as a testament to the enduring power of love to transform lives and change the world.